Hello everyone, this is Hakaym and welcome back to some more World of Warships, and today we are finally taking out the tier 10 Pan-Asian destroyer, the YueYang. And oh boy, we have a good battle for you guys. Hopefully you guys will enjoy it. But anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at the team. We are playing on Warriors Path, good lord. Playing Domination, we have Montana, Kerfers, Ismo, North Carolina, Richelieu, Henry the Fourth, Hindenburg, Ibuki, Edinburgh, YueYang, Yugamo, and Kagero. On the enemy team, there is a Montana, Yamato, Lion, Richelieu, Bismarck, Henry IV, Moskva, Rune, Hipper, Goering, Z46, and a Kagero. So, as many of you may have known and probably have kind of watched my way up through the Pan-Asian line, I've never been a big fan of this line. And I think it just really comes down to how it is whenever facing off against other destroyers. Yes, it can be help compensated with the radar, but you do lose that smoke. So I've always kind of had an issue. But the YueYang, I think, is definitely, it's more capable dealing with other destroyers and then also dealing with other ships, as you will see. So at the beginning of the match, we are moving towards A. We spawn kind of close to side. We do have a friendly destroyer. Instead of going to A, decides to push B. Oh, yes. This is going to be one of these matches. Alright, so we are located, as well as we are currently locating a enemy ship. We do spot the enemy Yamato that is starting to push south. And already we have lost our Edinburgh to the Lion, and there is the Goering. And once again, this is kind of the issue, I guess I could say, with the fact that we just can't really handle the Goering. Now I am holding off on dropping smoke, just due to the fact that there was a Henry IV behind us, and I was hoping he would actually open up and help me with the Goering. And the Goering has dropped torpedoes, but fortunately, there's just a big enough gap for us to reverse through. So danger avoided, and we have pulled our way back into the A cap. Now, one major thing I should probably go ahead and point out: capping is important, yes, but it's not worth dying. Now, we were spotted for a second by the enemy Goering. We dropped our torpedoes on the Yamato, and these torpedoes are actually really good. 13.5 kilometers. Almost exactly the same, if not obviously same distance, but with the fact that they are deep water torpedoes. So you do have very good range with the torpedoes. And, well, unfortunately, as we will see in a moment, these torpedoes are not going to be that fortunate because, granted, they do have a point, I think it's either 0.7 to 0.8 kilometer low detect in the sea. They can still get spotted by that Goering, especially if the Goering decides to sail right over them. I wonder if this Goering did this. Now, obviously, a very good idea is to actually pull away from that smoke screen. Don't really have advantage over there. And Yamato is now questioning about our blowing our load early. Anyways, enemy Rune was spotted there as well, so that's definitely one reason I wanted to pull away. I don't want a two versus one battle with a Goering and a Rune, so I'm actually going to go ahead and start pulling away. Now, at the moment, enemy team is at a significant advantage. They have two caps. We have officially taken out their Z46. But at the exact same time, we have just lost our Yugamo that was currently fighting against that Z46. And there we go. Finally have spotted the Yamato. Henry should begin opening up on this Yamato. Now, the reload on these torpedoes is a lot faster than Goering's. Goering's takes such a long time to reload. And at this moment, I want to try to get in close as possible to this Yamato and hopefully land a few torpedo hits. Now, once again, these torpedoes are pretty much the exact same as the Goering. They have very similar range, very similar damage. But the obvious major fact is that they are deep water torpedoes, and they are stealthy. They are incredibly stealthy. That's very beneficial because that gives a battleship very, very limited time to react. And this Yamato being a Yamato, is very slow to turn. We did kind of spread out our torpedoes, wasn't quite certain on the direction that this Yamato was going, so I did kind of spread them out. No need to try for a devastating strike. Might as well try to get actual hit, and gearing is finally spotted. And one nice thing about the Pan-Asian destroyers, as we hit torpedoes on the Yamato, is that fact the smoke screen is available. One thing I have noticed, and this has been something I've seen quite a few times in battles, is the guns tend to be knocked out quite a bit, which can be extremely aggravating because you do lose your DPM. But with this gearing almost opening up, and fortunately we did have our Henry IV behind us, is currently spotting this gearing, and it looks like we just destroyed one of his torpedo tubes, but he does disappear. And I think it's a very good time to actually pull away, give myself a little bit more distance, maybe get in a better position. Now this Yamato is unfortunately flooding to death, and just look at the damage counter right now. We're already sitting at 75,000 points of damage, and it's still going up. This Henry IV is doing a fantastic job. Actually, I think he has taken a substantial amount of damage, but he's still doing a really good job against the Yamato and a Rune, and should be able to take out this Yamato. Looks like he does rep. Torpedoes are now on the way. I do kind of spread out my torpedoes. This is more in if we do hit the Yamato, it'll probably kill him, but if the Henry IV gets him before my torpedoes reach, then both spreads won't be wasted, and that's why the second spread is actually going towards Rune, but I think the Rune is going to actually avoid this. Alright, where is this pesky gearing? Oh, there he is. Fortunately, the Kagero decided to come back and is now pushing A. Can we kill this gearing? It looks like the Yamato does go down, so it was a good idea to spread out those torpedoes. And now this gearing should go down relatively easy. There we go. There we go. Very first kill of the game. And now essentially this side is, for the most part, taken care of. There is still the Rune, but in this time we have lost 3 ships. The enemy team has lost 3 ships. Enemy team has securely taken C, and now they are starting to push down the channel in towards B. And this is going to prove extremely crucial because a few cruisers of theirs, such as the Moskva, as we will see, does get into a really good position, and this allows that Moskva to actually open up with its main guns with impunity. And this is gonna wreak havoc on our battleships because Moskva's guns are actually really potent. So we'll see how things go. Alright, torpedoes are back up. Let's see how these go. Now, once again, these torpedoes have a 13.5 kilometer range, which is extremely beneficial. And yeah, I probably could have just stayed in my smoke, get a little bit more damage, maybe cause more fires. But at the exact same time, I think it should be more beneficial if I try to push towards B. Yeah, this is probably one thing I should have done, is start pushing towards B. And I'm really debating whether or not to shoot. Our Henry IV has taken a fairly substantial amount of damage. He's still kicking around. That's definitely one thing about the Henry IV. It's a fantastic ship at long range combat. As you can see, the enemy Henry IV has taken out our Ismo. So now we are down a battleship. We are ahead as far as destroyers. We still have 2. We still have the Kagero and myself. Let's see how these torpedoes are going. Now, once again, this is kind of something I should have done. I should have started pushing towards B a little bit earlier, but I think these torpedoes are good. There we go. Second kill of the game. Enemy Rune is now dead. The Henry IV should be able to go into a better position and possibly start attacking the enemy team. But as you can see, the enemy team is doing a really good job taking out our ships. We have officially lost 6 ships to their 4, and they are well ahead in points. And we have actually taken out this Bismarck, but things aren't looking very good for us right now, to say the very least. Now, as far as our damage, pretty nice, 112k, I would say that's a pretty decent game. And now we have a Montana. This Montana is fairly full health. And let's see, torpedoes. Which way is this Montana going to do? Now, he's getting into a very narrow position, and that's going to prevent him from really being able to maneuver. And let's see how these torpedoes go. Now, keep in mind, I don't think this Montana has been lit. I think that was the actually very first major damage he's actually received. So, well, just watch. So I will have to say, another nice thing about the YueYang is she's actually faster than the Gearing. Not by a lot, but she is a little bit faster, which is slightly, much better when having to get around and possibly even running away. Another nice thing about the YueYang, as we're waiting for these torpedoes to hit, is her detect is 5.8 kilometers. We do land 2 torpedoes on the Montana, and we do cause 2 flooding. Now, as far as I could tell, the Montana has taken no fires. He probably should have his damage comm still available, but just watch the counter. Watch how quickly this counter goes up. Yeah, I don't exactly know, or better yet, know why he has not used his damn comm, but he hasn't. And as you can see, enemy Moskva just took out Montana, and at the exact same time, we've actually earned Witherer, which is one medal I don't often see too often. But yes, Wither is very, very nice. Enemy team is starting to push into B. They still have a fairly healthy amount of ships, and the reason why I was actually coming over here was the Kagero was spotted at this southern eastern side of the map, and obviously we found him and we're going to take him out. And this is one good thing, one thing a destroyer should do is take out the enemy destroyers. Support your battleships. And obviously I am semi-low on health, and there we go. There goes the enemy Montana. We earn double strike and liquidator. He has been flooding this entire time, and I don't understand what was happening there, but we are now unofficially being radared by the enemy Moskva, and that's not really good. But fortunately for us, the only real major threat to us is that Hipper. Yes, the battleships can do a substantial amount of damage, but right now, best thing I'm gonna have to do is try to quickly get away. And there we go. Earned high caliber, and as you can see, battleship AP is a little broken. But one nice thing, as we're trying to get away, is all the damage that we have been receiving. We've been basically increasing our reload rate on both our guns and our torpedoes, which is extremely beneficial because I do run Adrenaline Rush on this captain. So at the moment, my torpedoes will reload within a minute, I believe. We'll actually watch this after we drop these torpedoes on their shell. Let's see, which way is he going? This is one thing you definitely have to learn as a destroyer captain, is basically thinking how the enemy player is thinking. That's almost the best way. Now, during that time, our Kagero, who was pushing up north, met a quite nasty end against the Henry, which was severely unfortunate. And there we have just lost our curve first. And can you kind of understand what the unfortunate thing is? Just this team has melted away, and yet as we land another torpedo, and unfortunately we have not actually caused the flood. So to finish off this Rochelle, I am actually going to open up. Yes, extremely dangerous, but we have a smoke, and we have just earned Confederate. Just need a few hits. Oh, looks like he's healing. Oh no, oh no. Let's see if we can finish him off. Do earn a fire, very nice. And there we go, Kraken unleashed. And we're sitting at 774 points of health. Damage-wise, 217, 163. I would say not a bad game, to be perfectly honest. And there we have just lost our North Carolina to the Henry. I will have to say very good props to both the Moskva player and the Henry, the fourth player, who've done a very good job in this battle. Very good job there. And unfortunately, there's not much I can do. My focus right now is try to take out the Henry. Henry is probably my best bet, but with only 774 points of health, I cannot take a hit from a Henry. And yeah, things I just wish things could have been a little bit better, but unfortunately it is not meant to be. Now we do drop torpedoes on this lion. I was hoping this lion would actually turn to the starboard and head towards A, but yeah, that's not gonna happen. So unfortunately we are going to lose on points. Quite a big difference there. Almost nearly 800 points difference. So kind of sad to see a really good match for myself end in defeat, but you can't always win them all. But anyways, we're gonna go ahead look at the victory screen as this battle essentially over with. So unfortunately it was a defeat for us, but once again it was still a really good game. I really wonder how much XP I would have gotten from a win. But we did bring home 630,609 silver, 4,200 XP. We earned so many medals. We earned 6 medals in this match. Confederate, Double Strike, Kraken Unleashed, Liquidator, Witherer, and High Caliber. We did 217,162 points of damage, 168 shell hits, 8 torpedo hits, 5 kills, 3 fires, 7 floods, and 5 defended base capture. We were top of the team with a base XP of 1,772. If we combined all the scores together, we would actually be 4th, right below the enemy lion on the enemy team. Yeah, that's quite interesting. I'm actually really curious how much XP we would have gotten had we won this. Even base XP, I wonder how much we would have gotten. But anyways, as far as damage, Montana, we did 75,910 points of damage off 2 floods. 2 floods on a Montana. That's all that really hit. I mean, yes, torpedoes did decent amount of damage, but all of it was flooding. Rune, we did 35,000. Gearing, almost 20,000. Rochelle, well, we kind of stole that one, I will have to admit. Around 16,000. Kagero, around 9,000. Yamato, we did almost 60,000, 56,878. Main guns did only 46,004 points of damage. Torpedoes did 81,409. And combined for fires and flood, 89,749. Flooding alone did 85,501. Yeah. I think that was a pretty good game for torpedoes. Anyways, we're gonna go ahead and jump into port. I will see you guys there. Alright, everyone, welcome back to the port. And yes, I know I've been giving Pan Asian destroyers a lot of crap. But I think the YueYang, I mean, it hasn't won me over. I still am not a big fan of the Pan Asian destroyer line. But I think it is a capable ship. I think it can hold its own in a gunfight against another gearing. And its torpedoes are really decent. So I think if you're accustomed to the gearing, you should have a very good handle on the YueYang. YueYang has some benefits that the gearing does not have. And the gearing has some benefits that the YueYang has. But anyways, let's take a look at the stats. Now, before I get into the stats, there's one nice thing about the YueYang versus the gearing, and that's how the ship sits in the water. As you are all well aware, a lot of the destroyers in the Pan Asian line are actually American or USN destroyers. Obviously, the Xinjiang, the YueYang, and the Chengmu were all essentially copies of the Benson, the Fletcher, and the Goering. But the YueYang versus the Gearing, it sits lower in the water, which is beneficial because it makes it a much harder target to hit. If you don't believe me, let's actually take a size comparison. Yeah, Gearing sits a lot higher in the water. Granted, for the most part, the ships are very, very similar. Though the YueYang does seem like it's a little bit longer, but not by much. Maybe it's just me. But it does make it a little bit more difficult to actually hit. Moving on to survivability. With the captain skills, the hit points on my YueYang is 22,000. I will have to say the guns are actually the exact same as far as armor, but for whatever reason I find it more susceptible to being knocked out than the gearing is. As you will see, the main guns actually have a 20mm thickness, as well as the gearing. The gearing has the exact same millimeter thickness, but for whatever reason I just find that the YueYang has its guns knocked out quite readily. And I do even run the upgrade to the YueYang, which does increase the survivability of the guns by 50%. But as you did see in that last battle, my guns did get knocked out, which was actually severely aggravating because that severely reduces the DPM that you can put out. So don't know why. Maybe someone can point this out to me, but pretty certain that's kind of annoying. Moving on to the guns itself, you have 3 dual 127mm. Guns have a 3-second reload time. Gearing has 2.6, so gearing does has a slightly faster reload. But the gearing guns versus YueYang, they are very similar. Actually, they're almost exact same. The major difference is going to be the range as well as the reload time. Max HE damage is 1800 with a 5.5% fire chance. Max AP damage is 2100, and the firing range on the guns is 11.9 kilometers, and the velocity on the shells is 792 meters per second. So guns are fairly decent, are really beneficial against other destroyers. Like I said, very similar to the gearing, great for close quarter dogfights. But there's one major bad thing about having a close quarter brawl with a enemy gearing, for instance, is the fact that the torpedoes can hit the gearing. Now, these torpedoes are actually good. I will have to say, against cruisers, battleships, and CVs, whenever you actually find them, which is very rare, they're actually really good. They do the same amount of damage as the gearing, 17,900. The captain and the ship both have upgrades and skills that will reduce the reload time on the torpedoes, so you can get the torpedoes down to 104 seconds. Very nice, below 2 minutes, versus what the gearing has, depending on your captain skills and upgrades. But the very nice thing about the YueYang torpedoes versus the gearing torpedoes is the fact that they have a very low detect, which gives a battleship captain, I think it was figured out around 4 seconds to react, which is ridiculously short because almost all battleships require at least 12 plus seconds to even turn the rudder 180 degrees, so we'll give them 6 seconds. So very limited amount of time for any ship to actually react. And another nice thing about these torpedoes is that they are 68 knot torpedoes, not the fastest in the game, but still fairly decent. The range is a little bit different from the gearing. YueYang has 13.5 kilometer range, while the gearing has 16 kilometers. So yes, the gearing has a better range, can launch torps from, safely far back. But with that slightly increased speed and that very low detect, YueYang torpedoes are more likely to hit. And if you're close, as you did see kind of how I was with the Yamato and Montana, where I got, within a very short distance before being detected, those torpedoes are quite nasty. And that's one thing I don't like about the YueYang whenever I'm in a battleship, is just the fact those torpedoes just appear out of nowhere. Very limited time to react, but overall not bad as far as torpedoes. Moving on to AA defense. Honestly, they're Very similar to the gearing, you do have 10 single 20 millimeters, 36 average damage, 2-kilometer range, 2 dual 40 millimeters, average damage is 23, 3.5-kilometer range, 2 quadruple 40 millimeters, average damage is 32, 3.5-kilometer range, and main guns at additional AA, average damage is 45 with a 5-kilometer range. Gearing, well, I mean, it has a little bit more as far as the short range. It does have average damage of 42, but they're very similar in a lot of ways. The main difference between the YueYang's AA and the Gearing's AA is the fact that the Gearing does get the capability of running the AA Madness consumable, which definitely is very beneficial because the YueYang can't deflect enemy planes. So it is much more difficult for the YueYang to actually try to dodge incoming dive bombers and torpedo planes. But the YueYang has something nice compared to the Gearing, and that's her maneuverability. The YueYang has a max speed of 38.3 knots. Now I do run the speed flag on the YueYang, and yes, the YueYang is faster than Gearing, but is only by about 0.5 knots. I believe the Gearing has a top speed with speed flag at 37.8 knots. So yes, slightly faster, which is extremely beneficial. Another big thing is the fact that she also has a slightly tighter turning circle radius compared to the Gearing. YueYang has 620 meters versus 640 meters. With the Gearing, and the rudder shift time of the YueYang is 3.1 seconds versus 3.3 seconds. So YueYang has slightly better maneuverability than the Gearing, which can be beneficial. Does make you slightly harder to hit, makes you more capable of dodging shells. So very beneficial for the YueYang. And one nice other thing about the YueYang is her concealment. Detectability range by sea is 5.8 kilometers versus 5.9 kilometers with the Gearing. Yes, there is 100 meters of a buffer between being detected and not being detected, although the game does seem to have issues actually rendering said ship whenever you do spot them. So gives you no time to react, and then you are spotted. Anyways, while in smoke, you are detected at 2.8 kilometers while firing, and by air, you are detected at 3.4. So there are some slight differences between the YueYang and Gearing, and obviously one major difference is her smoke. She does have the Pan-Asian Destroyer smoke. Very long duration while bringing it out, but very short duration on each smoke, only 30 seconds per puff of smoke. So not extremely beneficial, but at least you do have about 10 seconds between your last puff of smoke and when your next charge is ready, and you do have 5 of them, so very nice to have. Now once again, you can run surveillance radar, and this can increase the duration if you get the upgrade to around 25, almost 27 seconds, and it does have a 7.5 kilometer range, but you obviously are going to be out without a smoke generator. So beneficial, especially for cooperative play, especially if you have someone you can rely on to either offer smoke or shoot at the enemy destroyer for you. So great for either getting spotting damage or having to rely on another destroyer to actually offer additional assistance. Anyways, moving on to the upgrades. Exact same from the Changmu. There's not much difference there. And my captain is fully spec'd up. I have gone for priority target, last stand. Always go for last stand whenever running a destroyer. Adrenaline rush, as you did see there, our torpedoes reloaded incredibly quick. Then I have put a focus onto the torpedoes. 10% reduction on time for reloading the torpedo tubes, so it does make your torpedoes a little bit more viable and more deadly. Then survivability expert, just to increase the health of the YueYang, help it deal with Haberlash or even Gearings. Haberlash are a complete nightmare, honestly. And then last but not least, concealment expert and RDF. As far as other things you could go for, technically you could go for IFHE. Does decrease your chance of fire, but does increase the penetration. Can prove beneficial. Demolition expert is something else that you could definitely go for. Increase your chances of fire, especially if you do hit a battleship with your torpedoes and cause flooding. You can at least get back with the fire damage, so always very, very nice there. But anyways, this is going to be it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like what you saw, hit the like and subscribe button. You guys have a great and fantastic day. Zaijian.